On this. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to another Tinker's Academy video. I'm your host, Kay Elmer, and I've got Philip von Holzendorf of Leela Quantum Tech and Quantum Upgrade and TraumEZ Harmonizer on the call with me to answer some questions that you have posted on Telegram regarding the new TraumEZ Harmonizer service. And so now it's been 3 weeks exactly that it's been out there, and I have been dutifully writing down or saving all of the different questions posted on Telegram. I did do my best to weed out the redundant ones. And then so I'm just going to basically be throwing these questions out at Philip and picking his mind for the next hour and kind of answer as many of these as we can get to before we run out of time. So does that sound good, Philip?
Sounds amazing.
Okay, number one. If I first take out the one for single, then switch to family, right? So if I subscribe for single, then I decide to do my whole family. Do I have to pay the $35 setup fee twice?
I think yes. I think I've answered that before somewhere, but yes. And the reason is because there's real effort behind it. So it's just real effort to that we need to work on to get the family members activated.
Okay,
so
you're
the
getting
good
a whole
news
new
is, so
subscription.
if you have
Yeah.
Exactly, so yeah.
Okay, and then so now number two, once how do I add or remove phone numbers for TraumEZ? Like, let's say I set up one phone and I get a different phone number. How do I change the number for the service?
You work with customer service. You
Okay.
can't do anything in that regard. So if
Okay.
you change your phone number, you need to speak with customer service, and they'll be happy to do it for you.
Okay, great. Number three, can the phone numbers be swapped again and again if you take the family package?
I don't really understand the question, but the same answer applies here. Every family member can have their phone number, and if any family member changes the phone number, then of course you can have the new phone number, but you need to work with customer service on that.
Okay.
But no extra costs. There's also
Okay.
no extra activation fee in that case then.
Okay, great. Number four, if your phone already has the Quantum Upgrade subscription, can it also get the TraumEZ energy, or is it only one of the services at a time?
You can also get the TraumEZ, and we specifically tested that, so it's totally fine to do that, and one doesn't cancel out the other, and one also doesn't really do what the other one does. So as I mentioned before, the Quantum Upgrade for your phone does a whole lot, but it doesn't cover the trauma part, right? So if you want to work on traumas, then yeah, just book the TraumEZ as well.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, number five, is the baseline positive energy for TraumEZ somehow a different life force energy? I'm guessing a life different than QU.
Oh, different life force
Or just
energy.
yeah, they're asking, is the TraumEZ energy different than Quantum Upgrade / product, quantum energy?
Well, it's not the same, and it's also not different. Now, I don't help anyone with that answer, probably. Think of it as a completely different set of frequencies that's also delivered in a different way.
Okay,
but it's still all working with the quantum space and working with frequencies as well.
Okay, but it's not a frequency itself. So like, you don't have like a trauma frequency that you can add to Quantum Upgrade, right? It's
No,
actually
that
it's an
would not work.
energy,
Yeah,
right? It's an
yeah.
energy that's resonating at a frequency. It's a little bit different, but it works. So okay, hopefully that answered that question, because I'm trying to wrap my head around that thing too. Okay, number six, there's a question mark about children. We've got several questions from parents who have children, little guys. And so if the kid is too little to kind of understand, they can't do the 9-step process themselves, right?
Yeah.
What do you recommend for children?
Well, so if it was my kid, then I would, if the kid is open to doing that, then I would do it with the kid, basically. And, I would read the steps. I would place the phone where it needs to be placed. I would basically guide the kid in that sense, maybe in a playful way.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think if you want to do it, then ideally the parent does it that has the most, the best connection to the kid for something like this,
Okay.
because usually kids don't really like to concentrate or focus on something. So
Right.
um, yeah, but it's definitely possible.
Okay, great. So just give it a try, everybody. And then you be their guide. All right. Okay, number 7. If I gift or include someone in my family subscription to TraumEZ, but putting in their phone number, does your system send them a text confirmation to let them know they've been added?
No, we don't do that. We don't send any activation notices whatsoever. It is basically happening whenever it's
Okay.
signed up, then within 10 to 30 minutes, it is activated.
Okay. So then if you did that for someone, you need to let them know. Okay. Number 8, could workers in an animal shelters apply TraumEZ and the steps to help animals?
Oh,
Like, does this
that's a
energy
tough
work all
question.
by itself with a being that's
Mm,
not no speaking
no,
relation?
I mean it would have a positive impact, but for that you wouldn't really need this. Then for that I would use the quantum upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Definitely for the location where you have the horses or the cows or whatever, use the quantum upgrade for location. That would be the deal. But the trauma easy, yeah, that's just too difficult
Yeah.
because you would have to go through the steps really, and the horse can't really do that.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Good comment though. Use quantum upgrade instead. Okay. Number 9. Will the quantum field ability to charge and frequencies extend outwards like normal if the phone is sealed in a Faraday bag?
Yes, that doesn't have an impact because that's below subatomic,
Okay.
and what you stop with a Faraday cage is literally electromagnetic
Okay.
radiation, and that's pretty much it.
So it'll still work, right? The TraumEZ will still work inside of one of those RFID blocker things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
However, I would if I do the work, I would definitely pull it out, and I've
Yeah.
said that before to others when they ask. So I have this magnetic pouch, whatever, I would definitely always remove it if I do the work, and just use the phone as is, without any of these magnetic things or other pouches.
Okay, good point. Thanks. Number 10, if I add the 5th person in a family package later, okay, we answered that one. Okay, wait. If I sign, I guess this means if they signed up for a family package, they only had 4 people in the beginning, and then now they want to add a 5th one. They just put in the number, right? They don't have to pay a setup fee, right? It's a one-time setup fee per
Yeah, yeah. So
subscription, but as you add people or switch people, that's not going to charge another 35. Is that correct?
exactly,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
already included. You just work with customer service, and then they'll help.
Okay. Okay. So number 11 is the trauma that is being resolved primarily emotional, energetic with physical manifestations, or can it also support resolution of primary physical traumas like malign injections, heavy metal poisoning, accidents? So like what kind of trauma is it?
Hmm.
Oh, it's just going to be emotional, energetic trauma, not physical bodily injury trauma, right?
Well, it's emotional and energetic,
Uh-huh.
which then can actually cause physical symptoms. So those would be included. But if we're just talking a physical impact, I don't know. I hit my head on the brick, and I don't know. And I have a huge concussion or something like that, and that's a traumatic experience. That was very physical. Well, it can probably help a little bit with that, but it's not like the healing solution for your concussion, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
no,
it
no.
really, I would rather look at it on an energetic and emotional level, but those again, they can have physical symptoms as a result.
Okay. Yeah, so okay, all right. So but not meant to, heal physical trauma. I mean physical like
No,
blunt force trauma, broken
no.
bones, things like that. Okay. So just okay, I get it. Hopefully that was clear to everybody. Okay, so number 12, is there an audio version of the PDF steps available? Okay, so that one's been answered. The answer is yes. You did create an audio guide, right? But and
Yep.
it was a link on one of the versions of the PDF, like the steps, right? But I looked at the most recent one and I didn't see the link to the thing anymore. So how do people get it?
Hmm. That's a great question. So
Okay, so in other words,
we should post. It should be posted there. If it's not there, then
yeah, this is the
it will be
newest
up and
one.
running soon again.
Okay, so this is the newest link. If you go to the website, and there was a link to an audio file on an earlier version of this, so it's gone now. So okay, all right. So so this is the most recent PDF. I believe that you added some clarification to one of these steps, right? So we're going to go on sidebar real quick because you mentioned to me last week that there was something you guys realized you left out, so you added something to the steps.
Yeah, that is in step number 6,
Okay.
which is actually, I find it quite important to actually go through it like that, because for whatever reason, that one tiny paragraph had fallen off. And what you need to do in the end of step 6 is also you go down from, let's say you feel that the heaviness of the trauma is at a 10, then you, in the process, you count down basically all the way to 0 until there's nothing left that you can feel or observe in terms of that trauma. And it's absolutely recommended to do that in step 6 as well as in the one step before. I think maybe step 4, where you're also counting down from 10 to 0, because that way you're really covering all of the different levels.
Okay. Okay. So okay, so that's a good point, everybody, that the step 6 has been updated. This is the most recent off the website, but it's missing the audio. So what I'll do for anybody that wants that audio, I'll go ahead and put it in the video description until such time you can just grab it off the website. So there's an audio guide that verbally walks you through, like guided meditation kind. That'll walk you through the 12 steps. But just make sure that if you haven't downloaded the most recent version of the steps, go to the website and get the newest copy for the complete step 6. Okay. Now, number 13, if I put my phone, oh, here's another. Okay, this came up. This is actually my question because it came up in a discussion about how do I
Mm-hmm.
pause this, because like one person felt really, really like this, it was really strong for them, right? And so they were like, how do I pause the TraumEZ energy, like like you would do with quantum upgrade, right? You can pause it. And I was like, I told him I didn't know if you could pause it. Maybe you could use that purple pouch, but I wasn't sure. So 2 questions. How do you pause it or if you had a purple pouch, would that work? If I put my phone in a purple pouch, would that pause the TraumEZ energy?
It would not pause it, but it would contain it. And otherwise, you can't pause it. From my perspective, there's no need at all, actually, also to pause it, because it is not stimulating in any way. Like, you don't get anything in any way that, why you wouldn't want that. It only has harmonizing benefits, basically.
Okay,
So
so
it also isn't at a strength level where anyone should have issues with that. So that would be extraordinary.
hmm. Okay, so if somebody felt really strongly that they wanted to pause it, um, it's possible. So I'm just saying, so it is possible to put it in a purple pouch that would contain that energy,
Yes,
and it would
that's
kind of act like a pause, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It would sort of act like a pause. It just basically, it's like a sleeping bag.
right, okay. And if that wasn't enough because you need to use your phone all the time, then maybe, yeah, then just
Well,
get
in
a hold
that
of
case, I
support
would
and turn it off.
cancel it then, to
Yeah,
be honest.
that's what I was thinking.
Just then if it's too much for you, if you feel
Yeah,
that's too much for you, then
yeah.
just cancel it.
Yep, yep, yeah. Contact support. Okay. Number 14, is there a way to okay, that was it. Number 15, would it be some kind of benefit if one of the persons doesn't want to do the work or believe on it? Wait a minute. Would it still be some kind of benefit if one of the persons doesn't want to do the work or believe on it? Hmm.
Okay, so I think the question is, so okay, I
Yeah.
have a partner And I would really encourage this partner to work through this one trauma with this. And no, so if someone doesn't want to do the work at all and also doesn't believe in it, there's already a resistance against even acknowledging that there's a trauma and even acknowledging that they can work through the trauma. So no, in that case, it's like you can't beat people to wake up or to do this or do that, really. I mean, at least not with these types of inner processes, right? You just
Yeah.
can't. Someone needs to be willing to do that, and if they don't, then they just need to suffer more. That is unfortunately the truth. You can offer all your help, but if they say no, then we need to respect that, and it's their path, and then maybe in their own timing, a week later or a year later or 5 years later, then they may be ready for that. And if you have at least shared what you have to share, then they can always come back to you and say, hey, now I'm ready, and I'm realizing now I need to do something, and can you help me? Something like that works
Right.
always better than just dragging people.
Yeah, yeah. And we also manifest our own reality. So if your reality is that this doesn't work, it ain't gonna work because you're the one in charge of it, of your reality. Right. Okay, number 16. What guidance do you have if someone is having a hard time feeling emotions related to the trauma? Based on the instructions, this is an essential step, and this person would love some guidance if they're not able to conjure up the emotion of the trauma.
Yeah, so that's actually a quite good question, because I feel that several people may have this issue that they
Yeah.
don't really, and especially men, then they are not so emotional usually, and we try to not allow our emotions, and then we think we don't have any, and so there's a different way. You could just feel like the weight of it, or the tension of it, all these things, it's pretty much the same thing, just observed and perceived in a different way. So if just something feels as if it limits your breath, or it just feels heavy, or you're getting super tired, you don't even want to think about this thing because it's just such an effort, you know what I mean? That is the feeling you have, and it tells you like how powerful, strong this trauma actually is. If it's totally easy and it's wow, you're so light and it's all you're so in inner peace with it and whatever, then there isn't much at all, if anything, right? But
Yeah.
if you have these feelings of tightness, heaviness, all of that, you can use that and then just let that come up. It doesn't need to be a specific emotion. Um, yeah, I hope that helps.
No, no, that makes sense. Thanks. Okay, number 17. Similar question to above, but for unconscious traumas. How do you follow step 2 for feeling emotions for unconscious trauma?
All right, so can we go to step number 2 real quick,
Sure.
please?
Right here.
Okay, so I mean, I think I also mentioned that before. So if we don't really know what the trauma is, I need to know something in order to do the work, right? And it can be a situation. Usually, it would be a repetitive situation or a specific feeling or emotion, of how I act or react. Let's say every time a bus drives around the corner and I see a bus, I'm like in shock position. Like I can't move. My breath stops. I'm just giving this example, and you can apply to whatever. It's just a very extreme example, so you almost can't move anymore. But you don't know why that is or what's going on, but it always tends to happen. So then, just define this occurrence and use that as the trauma. The trauma behind me always getting in a shock position when a bus comes, whatever that is. Or
Right.
whenever my boss enters my office, I feel whatever, caught, even though I didn't do anything wrong. So then just describe that, and then you have the trauma there. It's not, you don't have to see the trauma or know where it came from, because often we actually have no clue, right? But we still act because of traumatic experience. So if you just name the experience of what you struggle with, then that works as well.
Okay. All right. No, good advice. Thank you. Okay. Number 18, if you want to release an emotion when you are going through step 5, should you focus on just one memory of that emotion or let your mind wander through lots of memories of that emotion?
Whatever you feel like in that given moment. So because usually when you're sitting down or laying down to do this, you're really willing to do the work and to let go of things, and then you'll just know. You'll just know. And
Okay.
if you don't, if you feel you don't, and you just do it one way, then you feel, oh, maybe I missed something. So, and then you'll you'll do more. So it's, you'll know. Trust yourself. I think that's very important. We need to all start trusting ourselves more.
Okay. No, thanks. Good advice. Number 19, for ancestral trauma, do you go through the steps once to heal all ancestral trauma, or do you have to go through the steps to release each type of ancestral trauma? One time through steps for releasing inherited anger, then another time for inherited depression, etc.
Well, I think it's hard to answer actually. So it really depends, and usually you can't do it all at once.
Yeah, I
It's,
wouldn't. Yeah,
because indeed there could be lots of different things that you inherited, and um, you would have to go through each individual one usually. I mean, you can start with like a broader brush and see what that does. A broader brush would be, the biggest trauma I inherited,
yeah,
I don't know, from my parents, or, but I mean, especially that, the closer you get relative wise, like to your parents, for example, there's tons of stuff actually that we pick up from
yeah.
our parents. So yeah,
They start
then
from the
there may
top
be a lot
down.
of work to be done. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So I mean, I honestly, like, to share with people, I've been working on things also from my childhood, and it's a long process. You think you release it all, and then like a year later you notice something, or someone else notices something, and yeah, there's just something new that just came out, or is now visible again, and you are at it again. I literally just did 3 TraumEZ sessions last week regarding my mother.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
it keeps going. There's something comes up, and you may think it's all done, but it may not be. But the good thing is then the more you release, the easier actually it gets, and yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. No one ever had to pass a test to be a parent. They just got thrown into it. So everyone practices on, you're constantly being practiced on. And the first kid's usually the throwaway, and then they get better as they have more kids. Okay,
Yeah,
so
by the way, also it also doesn't, so with these things, it doesn't need to be that it was just such a super heavy trauma, right? Like, I mean, my mom never beat me up or something like that, right? But those cases exist, of course, and those are
yeah,
terrible, and there's a lot to work on. But it can be really subtle things, right? And where maybe just little children just don't, they just take it in a different way. If you had been treated as an adult like that, you probably wouldn't have taken away a trauma, right? Or you would have acted differently. But little kids, um, they just take on things in a different way, especially from their parents, and they
yeah,
always want to make it right, and that's why we just absorb so much during that time.
yeah, yep. I hear you. Okay, let's see. Number 20. Is there a recommendation for using frequencies via the quantum upgrade when using TraumEZ? Should we turn QU frequencies off when you're doing it, or is there a frequency that would enhance it?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I actually didn't feel the need or so at all to make any changes whatsoever. I don't think it really matters much. So from that perspective, just choose any frequency you want that you just feel good with, and it should be totally fine.
Okay.
And if you have the impulse to set the quantum upgrade on neutral, then go ahead and do that. There's no right or wrong, I feel.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so now 21, how many traumas are recommended to release in a day? I think you kind of answered this earlier. It's just whatever
Well,
you're
yeah, I
comfortable
want
with,
to
right?
speak to it though also
Yeah.
because mm, I don't think there is an answer because it really, again, depends on the person, depends on the time, depends on the traumas. And the best answer really is just feel for yourself. Don't rush it. Um, Sometimes, especially men, have the tendency, okay, well, I'm just going to release them all today. I'm just going to start at 8 a.m. and just go until 9 p.m. and I'll just get through with it. That's not how it works because then we can't keep up. We can't keep up with it. And you may, when I did these 3 traumas there that I just mentioned, I did it in 3 days. And actually then I felt like, oh my God, I'm not gonna do anything here in the next 2 days. So I really literally felt like I couldn't have done any other trauma in the next 48 hours after that. And I didn't even do all 3 um, on the same day, but which you probably can, no problem. And I've used the TraumEZ also a few times a day already before, but usually I would say just really feel, take your time with it, and once you've released something, note that there's always a process that's going on. It's so give yourself some time to relax, to reset, and take it easy, and then go at it again. That's what I would recommend.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. Number 22, triggers. I know I have a few of those and they can bring the traumas back over and over. How do we clear them using TraumEZ? So it's not about the trauma, but the triggers that trigger the trauma. Isn't that one and the same?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the way you look at it. So
Trigger is the
um
trauma. Yeah.
the yeah, exactly. If you still get triggered by something, you still have, I
You're not done. Yeah.
mean,
You're not done yet.
yeah, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. Yeah, you're not fully at peace yet. And who can always be fully at peace, right? I mean, there's always something that can be happening, right? That throws us out of that inner peace. I posted an interesting um, thing on my Instagram the other day. It was on a story, so I can't look up, but it literally said, "Be so rooted in yourself that neither the absence nor the presence of anyone can disturb your inner peace." Right, and it also had a graphic on showing like where that's at, how that's all related. But in a way, that's kind of what we're working on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyone and anything, of course, should be included.
Okay. Yeah. So just keep working at it. Okay. Number 23, does the service follow the SIM card? Meaning, if I get a new phone, does the service automatically move to the new phone with the card, or do we report the change to you?
It always stays with the phone that is used, that carries that number.
That phone number.
If
Okay.
you get a new number, then you actually need to let customer service know to activate that. But and then the other one will be deactivated.
Okay. All right. There you go. Number 24, I do a type of releasing, letting go during the day. David Hawkins, Michael Singer type releasing. Is it also about releasing one's baggage trauma? Does the energy from the TraumEZ assist with releasing trauma if we do another release process? So how about this? Combining it with other
Yes,
processors.
it should definitely help. So yeah, if you do that anyway, then
Yeah.
absolutely go ahead, take your phone, put it on your thymus gland, and then go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And see
Yeah.
what it does.
Yeah.
Should be way, 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 way quicker that
Cool.
way.
Okay. Number 25, when an inner peace or free tour mind card or frequency enhance the letting go. Okay, this is another one of those. Would a frequency help? And you've answered that question. Number 26, how can I see that the TraumEZ service has been activated? Okay, nothing's on the dashboard or on the phone. So you're earlier you said it just happens within 15, 30 minutes and there's no indication, no email, text, anything, right? It just happens.
That is correct.
Okay.
And at the latest, after 30 minutes, it is activated. Usually it's just 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. All right. Number 27, can I loan my phone to someone to do the trauma protocol, or does it only work for me?
It's a good question. No, you should be able to lend it to them. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. That's what I was thinking too. Just like you can do that with
Yes.
heal
Yeah.
caps.
And if you're a therapist, for
Yeah.
example, and you have this, then just you can do it with your patients.
Oh
That's
yeah.
no problem.
Awesome. Okay, so number 28, can I now use that phone to help a pet? Oh, we talked about pets. Most likely not, because they don't do the 9-step process. So use the quantum upgrade for that.
Yeah.
Or put their picture in a block. Okay, number 29. Is it easy to switch from the single to the familial subscription? Do we need to pay the activity? Okay, we covered that one. Yes, it's easy. You just let support know, right? And yeah, you do have to pay the setup fee because it's a new subscription. Okay, they got that one. Number 30. Can you do Ho'oponopono with TraumEZ? So, if you're not familiar with that, that's just a Hawaiian trauma release protocol. So I think we answered that, right? You can use TraumEZ with other protocols, and most likely it'll benefit. Correct?
Yes. Hmm.
All right. 31. If placing the phone on my chest doesn't feel right, can I just have it nearby when doing the steps where it generally feels very good? Or does it have to be on the thalamus?
No, it should definitely be there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's very important that
That's
you
the
put it
spot. Hmm.
because that's like right above your what is it? Heart chakra, right? Because your
Yep.
thalamus is it a chakra or is it above the chakra? I'm thinking. I'm
No,
trying to
it's
picture it in
it's
my
a
head.
it's above the chakra actually, and there's a really good picture on our website actually on the TraumEZ page.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's a really nice picture that shows you exactly where it is. I think yeah, it's actually on that. Yeah, exactly right there.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
because
Yeah,
this is a really important part of your energetic body, it has to be there, right? For this thing to work. It was designed to work there. Okay,
correct.
so the
Hmm.
answer is no. You need to put it where it needs to be. Okay. Okay, now here's the one, 32. How long does it take for the TraumEZ now if you wanted to use your phone with TraumEZ to charge water or food? I believe you answered this. I thought it was, I think you said 2 to 4
Yeah, I think in
minutes.
the first.
Right. Yeah. I remember you
Yeah,
answered this one. So it's 2 to 4 minutes, and you have to place the phone next to the thing you want to charge, right?
correct.
And that
Next
would,
to, or if you have, let's say you have a bag of apples or whatever, just put it on top
okay. So it
or
needs to be,
underneath. Yeah.
okay, next to the food, 2 to 4 minutes, and that will charge food and drink. Number 33, will TraumEZ overcharge the area we usually place our phone? There's no overcharging, right?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't do that like some of the blocks do. Okay, so no
And
worries
by the
there.
way, so
Yeah.
I got an answer in regards to the audio. So by the end of this week, it will be up and running again.
Okay. Are you going to put the link on the website or put it into the PDF?
Um,
It'll
I
be
honestly don't know. I think it will definitely be somewhere in the TraumEZ section.
okay. All
So
right.
let me see if I can get an answer here before we're
Are,
done.
are you going to update the audio to? Because I haven't. or because I know you needed to update the PDF. So does that mean, for this one paragraph right here,
Yes,
does that mean you're going to update the audio as well? So everybody should go back
yes.
and get the newest copy. Okay, so what we'll do is as soon as the updated ones are out, Philip or I or both of us will make an announcement in Telegram to go down and get the newest copy. Sound good? That
Yep.
way everybody's got the right version of the audio. Okay, all right, cool. No, where was I? Let's see. Okay. Okay, so number 34. With some subjects, I just keep getting distracted instead of being able to go deeper, which I suspect is a protection mechanism I've learned. Very, very astute. Do I just let these subjects be for now, or do I continue to try?
That's a good point because it can indeed happen. And
Yeah.
usually I would say at first, if you feel like, oh my God, I'm just getting too tired, I can't deal with it now, give yourself some time and then give it a few days and then go at it again until you really make that decision. Okay, now I'll go through, or I feel I can go through it, then go ahead and do it. So it really depends on you. You can do it either way.
Okay. Yeah. That's a really good question because I have that same issue when I try to meditate. I can't get my inner voice to just shut up. I have a real hard time with that. I, I'm
Yep.
always going off on tangents.
Well,
Okay.
it can also be a voice of, oh yeah, I mean, it's not going to do anything anyway. I just can't. Well, I'm just not going to even bother. But uh, yeah, that's then the ego playing a role and saying to ourselves, just keep the trauma. So other words for saying keep the trauma.
Yeah, well, it's like an old back injury. Like one thing I've got really old back injuries from when I was a teenager, and one thing I've learned over time is that where you've got deficiencies in your skeletal system, your muscles will compensate, and so they'll stiffen up and hold you in place. So you kind of like because how I found this out is I went to a massage person who said, "Oh, you're really stiff here and here. Let me get rid of that for you." And I was thinking, at the moment, it's just kind of like, well, is that a good thing? And then they released all that tension. And I was in a back brace for 3 weeks because my body had learned to live with
Crazy.
that, with my muscles holding me together. In other words, I had
Yes.
learned to exist with the trauma as part of my being. And then you took that trauma away and it just blew me. It just like knocked me to my feet, my knees. I think it's emotionally probably the same thing. Wouldn't you agree? That sometimes our traumas become part of our support process of our emotional well-being, and you take it away, it's like you're kind of
Yes.
empty. You lost
Exactly,
something.
but that's exactly the way the why we have all these steps also towards the
Yeah.
end, to really go through that, and because you actually then fill up this empty space, if you will.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's quite an important piece and part of it, because
Right.
then you can actually, when you're done with the session, you will feel full rather than empty.
Right. So you put something to replace it, something positive
Hmm.
instead of the negative that was there. Keep
Yep.
yourself whole. That makes sense. Okay, good point. All right, number 35. I have an EM. Okay, this one EMF protection case on the phone. Do I need to remove it? And the answer is yes. Just use your phone. And that goes along with, do I need to leave my phone on airplane mode, turn it off, leave it on? It doesn't matter, right?
That all
Number
doesn't matter,
36.
and
Okay.
yeah, that all doesn't matter.
Yeah, because well, some people were. There's a couple of comments about people were worried about the EMF, the pulse that comes to the phone, and they didn't want to put it on their body, right, because of the EMF issue. But TraumEZ mitigates the EMF, so even if it's
Exactly.
turned on, and you put it on your thalamus, it's going to be okay, right? That's what I
Yes.
was thinking.
Yes, it's actually beneficial. So get it
Okay,
out of your head, people, that, because if it's harmonized this way, with the TraumEZ harmonizer, then it's beneficial if you put it there.
okay, no, that's great. Okay, number 37. Instead of picking up a specific trauma to release, are we able to tap into a feeling, emotion, sensation in the body and release whatever it is tied to that without knowing why it's there? So, in other words, you're not able to name the trauma, but you have like the whispers, or the, you could feel something was there, but you don't know what that trauma, what, where it came from. Do you just get rid of that
Yeah, that
emotion instead of, or yeah,
I would still work on the trauma, but it's the same as before. When you're working with an unconscious trauma, just try to describe it. Use
right,
a
just
description.
okay.
Just you know, I don't
So
know.
you don't, yeah.
The
So you,
trauma
uh
behind the whispering or whatever it may be. Like you could describe it. If you were to describe to a friend what's always happening to you, just description. You know,
right.
obviously don't use like paragraphs, but if you put it all in one sentence, one crisp description, that should be enough.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So use those feelings, emotions, and
And then to
sensations.
explain why that is, because
Yeah.
it's trauma is a bundle of energy. And also here we need to identify it. We need to name it. There needs to be a clear signal which trauma is about. So that's if we describe it, then we have named it, then it is clear what it is that we're talking about.
Okay. So in this example, I just want to be real clear, right? Because in this example, you get the person, it's an example of getting an intense feeling of fear from nowhere and not knowing where it comes from. So the trauma itself is then the fear. So then you would use the fear, you would rank it 0 to 10 and work on releasing the fear and not worry about where it comes from. But the fear itself is the trauma.
Mm,
Would that be about right?
I, I would not say that the fear is the trauma. The
Oh,
fear
okay.
is a symptom of
Oh,
whatever's
okay.
behind
Okay.
it. Um, and I would then say, okay, so I'm now working on the trauma that lets me be in this severe state of fear in these situations. But that's how I would name it. Basically, describe. And then you'll basically on what is related to fear that always comes. And the fairness of that, should then go down in the process. But it's really the fear, because the fear isn't the it's not is the symptom. And then also while you're working on the trauma, you're not in this.
Philip? Oh, I just lost Philip. Hold on, everybody. I think he's dialing back in. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. We just lost you for
Okay.
a few seconds.
Oh, strange. Okay, but I hope that was still clear. Um, what I said,
Okay.
or
Yeah. Okay.
was I cut off?
No, no. You were cut off right at the tail end, but I think to paraphrase it though, like my interpretation was not as clear as yours. In other words, if you're feeling fear, but you don't know where it comes from, that where it comes from is the trauma, not the fear. Fear is not the trauma. Fear is a description of the trauma, but right, you can use that description to describe it in the process, right? And you just kind of go through those same 9 steps and using fear
Yes.
as a descriptor of the trauma.
Perfect.
You
Yeah.
don't have to know where it comes from. Okay, all right. It's like that whole ancestral soul trauma, like, it's like you don't know what happened in a past when you weren't around, the same person you are now. But you can still have the remnants of it, right? And then you can work on that. Okay, number 38. Can we tap into that feeling and release the trauma attached to it without having contact? Oh, same question. Yeah,
Yep.
and the answer is yes. Use those feelings as descriptors as you're working through each trauma. Okay. Now, number 39, does the TraumEZ service automatically transfer to a new device when we upgrade from one phone to another? I'm currently using an iPhone 12, but we're getting a 15. So oh yeah. So the answer is I'm keeping the same phone number, just changing the device. So your prior
Yes.
answer was wherever the phone rings with that phone number, that's the phone.
Correct.
Energy goes to that one. And the only time you can get rid of that energy is to cancel the service, right? It's permanently, it's not being transmitted all the time, is it? It's just like QU is always just constantly turned on unless I turn it off. But TraumEZ is where you basically send energy to that phone and the phone holds on to the energy. It's not streaming. Is it streaming? Like
Well, no, it also
entanglement?
it doesn't work through the quantum upgrade system, but it's a similar process though.
Okay.
And it's always with this energy. Yeah, it's always, as long as it's activated and not canceled, it transmits that energy.
Okay. We'll have a new phrase out there for you. You can call it quantum streaming. You should trademark that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? That was all the questions. I think we got one more question right at the last minute. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, if I get TraumEZ on my phone, would my quantum block be damaged, upgraded by having the phone in it while TraumEZ is activated? There's one last question.
It's hard to tell. I would definitely not do that. Like I mean, to be honest, like why would you even do that and put your phone with the TraumEZ in the quantum block? There's neither a benefit you can gain to your phone, and you're possibly transmitting something to the quantum block that the quantum block doesn't need. So I would just straight off say, just don't do that.
Okay. I
I
think, yeah.
haven't tested it, but I would really not do that.
So I think, yeah, I think that goes to the, before the TraumEZ existed, right? We were telling people, yeah, you can go ahead and charge your electronics using any of the blocks, right? And
Yep.
the instructions there were any of your electronics, just put it in there for X number of minutes per the guide, a couple of times a year, and then that'll charge your phone. But if you've quote got TraumEZ, don't put it in the block because it's quote charged. That'd be the best way to.
Exactly.
It's charged. Yeah,
You don't need anything.
you
Yep,
don't need to charge it.
exactly.
Okay. All right. There you go. Okay. So that was quick. Well, we got through that. I was
Wow.
really surprised we got through 39 questions as fast as we did. So, thank you so much for your time, Philip. I know you're super busy. And so if you get anybody wants to reach out, ask more questions, obviously go to either one of the two Telegram chat groups. There were questions about whether or not we're going to set up a third one just for TraumEZ. Philip, what are your thoughts on that? Are we just going to keep the two Telegram groups and not have a third one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we'll just keep.
What do you think? Hey, what do you think?
I think there's so much confusion as to where people should post their questions now. I think having a third one would just make it worse, right? Because
Okay.
you've always
Yeah.
got people
Okay.
posting questions in the other group, right? And they're constantly being referred to the other group because that's where all the answers are, And so yeah, that's bad enough as it is today. I think a third one would just make it even worse. And for those of you guys out there in internet world, I don't know if you realize, but there's like one or two moderators. Philip's always, if you follow Philip, he's flying around constantly, going and doing all of these shows and interviews, and he works, and he's the main guy doing all the copying. And yeah, so Philip, even though he's a moderator, he's not in there much, but so it's usually Emma and I, and then Inna joins every now and then. But yeah, there's not a lot of moderators, so we definitely don't want a third group to have to moderate. Okay, so there's that. But anyway, so hey, but you have questions, as you just noticed, I'm tracking all the questions, making sure they get answered, so you can find us and find Philip at Leela Quantum Tech or Quantum Upgrade, or the two Telegram channels for those two. And if you're interested in what I'm doing, I kind of am the super user. I have a whole section of my blog on the Tinkers Academy dedicated to Leela and all the stuff for Leela and all the tinkering I've done and you name it. So you can find a bunch of information there too if you're into quantum, and of course Telegram. So that's how you reach us. So any last thoughts or anything coming up that you want to let people know about? You mentioned Las Vegas is coming up, so did you want to like plug that and let people know that's coming up? Today's October
Yeah,
2nd,
so
by
there's
the
a
way.
big conference in Las Vegas, 3 days. It's on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of November. It's called the Stairway to the Stars. It's organized by Disclosure Fest. The guy that has founded that, his name is Adrian, super nice guy. They run the largest mass meditation events in LA once a year, and they feed literally tens of thousands of homeless people. It's a nonprofit organization. They plant trees. They just do a lot of great work, and so they're having this conference. There's a lot of stuff that I'm usually not really into, so I think they're having even some talks there in regards to UFOs and stuff like that. That's usually a topic I'm not so into, but why not? And it also talks about health, human health, biohacking, and all of that in a really holistic way. And I think that's why we're there. It'll be great. And then a few days later, there's going to be the Dragonfly conference in Boulder, Colorado. So I think that's on the 18th and 19th, if I'm not mistaken, or 17th and 18th, something like that. You can look it up. Dragonfly conference. It's a biohacking for women conference, the largest in the US. And you will see a lot of men there as well, including Dave Asprey, Ian Mitchell, and many others, and myself.
All right. Awesome. Well,
But before we
yeah.
part ways, I
Uh-huh.
want to say one more thing, and that is a huge thank you to UK, because that you're doing these educational videos and interviews, and I mean, you put all the work here in this. I mean, just writing down all these questions, extracting it, putting it on slides, and then doing the actual interview. So a huge thanks, and yeah, really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure that every single member in the group also appreciates that a lot.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's my thing. I'm just really into this. It's really starting to take off, Philip. I don't know if you noticed, right? But this week, both Luke Story and Dave Asprey put out videos. Dave Asprey put out a video interviewing somebody about quantum DNA, right? Ancestry, and then Luke Story put out a interview. He interviewed somebody, and the topic of his interview was was it quantum biology, right? And it's just amazing how, it's really, people are starting to really understand what quantum is, and how it affects, our biology, and how it affects, everything, just the communication, of information throughout the universe. It's pretty cool, and it's just, it's like 3 years ago when you started. People were just, quantum was like a buzzword for, like, basically, if you Google the word quantum, all sorts of stuff pops up, like golf clubs, and I think there's even a motorized wheelchair called the quantum, and you just get all this stuff, right? But it wasn't actually like about quantum. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm just really into it, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. So yeah, thanks anyway. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. All right. So, hey, guys, everybody, thank you very much, Philip, for your time answering the questions. Again, if you want to reach out, you know where to find us. And Philip, any last words?
Thank you so much, everyone out there. You are all pioneers actually in this space. And yeah, that's the way to do it. It's so much fun. Also meeting, anyone that comes to these conferences sometime, meeting them in person. Sometimes we have also people coming to our retreats in Costa Rica, and it's always fun to connect on Telegram. And then if you meet someone in real life that, oh, hey, I've been in the Telegram group for so long, it's always so much fun. I really love this community, and all of you out there. And yeah, it's just great, and it's quite amazing what has happened. What Kate just said is indeed true, and you'll see that in the next 5 years things will continue to evolve and shift quite a bit, because that's the time. This stuff, the frequency medicine and quantum energy, all of that will be way more known in the next 5 years, and lots of fun stuff will be possible. And yeah, you already know all of that today.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot. And everybody, don't forget, if you're anywhere near Vegas or Boulder, Colorado, in the next month, you can stop by and see Philip. So, all right, then. Have a great day, everybody. Aloha. Thanks, Philip.
All right, thank you.